Hello and welcome to the Cryptocurrency News channel. So Bitcoin is obviously down today at 38,900, about $1,000 less than the 40,000 that I had hoped would be a bottom. Now, I do believe there could actually be a bounce this weekend, and that is because people are over sold now, and basically the correction was way too big. Just like the correction was way too big when Russia first invaded. Remember, when Russia first invaded, we dropped to like $34,000. But after a couple of days, we rose to $45,000. Now, that was an overreaction on the buy part. I do think part of that was because of people in the affected countries actually buying Bitcoin for an actual useful purpose. But some of that was speculators from countries like the United States and Europe and maybe some parts of Asia taking longs. Now, they corrected it up to $45,000, but at that point, they had significant profits to take, and they probably took some profits, which liquidated many of those longs. So we are at where we are right now. However, I don't think it should have sold below $40,000, and I do think this correction is going on way too strong. Will it continue? It could possibly continue. Maybe we'll go down 34 or 35, although I don't think we will actually get that low. Yes, there is the ongoing energy crisis right now, but even with that, more expensive energy should actually make Bitcoin mining more expensive. And Bitcoin mining being more expensive should actually mean the base rate of Bitcoin should be higher than what it is now. So energy being more expensive doesn't necessarily equate to crypto falling. It is a black swan event. It does make people very, very tenuous about the economy and investments as a whole. But in terms of Bitcoin itself, it honestly should help the price because it makes Bitcoin mining just that much more expensive. We've had several bounces when the price overcorrected one way or the other. There's been two in the past week, and I believe this weekend could be another such bounce. Now, the bounce will not be probably like huge. It probably won't bounce to like 45,000, but it should bounce to just above 40,000. Maybe we can rest at that $42,000 resistance. Because in my opinion, when Russia attacked, we should have dropped a little bit just because of the news. The war basically introduced uncertainty into the markets, and uncertainty is generally bad for most markets. Markets like certainty. Markets like to be sure to know what's actually happening. When you have uncertainty in the market, it kind of screws everything up. It screws up people's plans. It screws up forecasts, and that fear will actually cause a market to pull back. But now, since it's actually happening, and there's still uncertainty, so it should be lower than before they invaded, but shouldn't actually be low as $34,000. Now, there's another angle to this right now because Russia is indiscriminately shelling certain elements of the Ukrainian power grid structure. For instance, nuclear power plants. Ukraine has a lot of nuclear power plants, and there was a fire in basically Europe's biggest nuclear power plant due to some Russian shelling. Now, they managed to put out the fire, but people are actually afraid of a nuclear accident that could actually have nuclear fallout, not only for Ukraine, but it could actually carry over to Europe or even Russia itself. Obviously, like with troops still encroaching on Ukraine's cities and the siege actually happening, there is a lot of uncertainty because Russia is about to get cut off from a lot of imports of oil from Europe and the United States. Now, the U.S., for all intents and purposes, is probably not going to... the oil prices have been surging up, but it's probably not going to surge up too much more from just cutting off Russian oil. Russia does not make up a significant part of U.S. oil imports. We get most of our oil from Canada, Saudi Arabia, Mexico, etc. Russia is like... of our base actually gas oil, it's like 2%, and of our overall crude, it's around like 8% or maybe like 5% right now. Like we imported about 90,000 barrels per day from Russia in December compared to 4.1 million barrels per day from Canada in December. So really not all that much when you actually compare the two. So the United States can live without Russian oil. Plus, we can actually speed up production fairly quickly of our own oil, and we have other reliable energy and renewable energy resources to actually depend on. But the rest of the world, well, we don't really know about that, especially if we're going to try to export more oil to Europe to make up for some of the Russian shortfalls. Now, if for all intents and purposes, a lot of the Russian oil is actually sanctioned because of the ongoing economic sanctions against Russia. Essentially, a lot of companies don't even want to touch Russian oil. So that's why oil prices have gone up so much, because even though we haven't officially sanctioned Russian oil, unofficially, we've kind of sanctioned them already anyways. So that actually might cause crypto to at least temporarily drop a little bit. However, I am uncertain that will cause a long-term crypto drop because, like I said, it would actually make mining more expensive, which necessitates a higher crypto price to actually match. And also, I think people are looking at crypto for new utility purposes because of this Russian conflict and sanctions and everything. And I do think Russians and Belarusians and Ukrainians will continue to use Bitcoin at least for some kind of store of value, maybe even for some kind of medium of exchange. Plus, the other fundamental news for crypto is actually pretty strong, with cities being built on crypto and other countries looking at declaring crypto legal tender. So overall, that's why I kind of almost expect a bit of a bounce this weekend. Not that high, but a small bounce this weekend because we did actually overcorrect. After we went up to 45,000, I think we should have gone down to around 41, 42,000. But I think if we go down to 38, 37,000, there will be a bounce back up to around that value, maybe early next week. So that's the news for today. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe and hit that bell notifications button. Thank you and have a nice day.